Welcome back, everyone, to another edition of Sit Downs with Charlie Brown. I'm your host, DJ Charlie Brown, Charlie Groebner, whatever floats your boat. And joining me once again for the third consecutive time to this direction, I'd say, is my brother, Joe. What's up, Joe?
I
Yeah, yeah. So I know first off, disclaimer, I'm a little I may sound a little nasally. I apologize. And my lighting's all messed up. I apologized. I moved back like a month ago, so been kind of going through some stuff. And I know you and I have talked about doing. We're originally going to try and do one for end of the season, but things just kind of got a little out of hand and busy. So we're kind of doing it now. So this is going to be kind of a recap of the NHL's free agency period and the upcoming season, give our predictions. So you ready for this, Joe?
yeah.
All right. First one I got on my note sheet here. Buffalo. Honestly, they surprised me. You know, once you hit rock bottom, there's no other place else to go but up, in all honesty. You know, they were still pretty bad, but they were at least showed improvements. Skinner and Akospo had bounce backs. Alex Tuck looked like he's become a leader of that locker room and a fan favorite. That Owen Powers made his debut. Like, in terms of free agents, they didn't have a ton, but as long as they keep doing the building for the future, they should be on track. So
Yeah. I would definitely not view them as like a playoff team just yet because they're pretty young and that division is pretty tough.
Yeah.
But they're in the right direction. So not this year, but maybe in the next couple years.
Yeah, they're definitely a team to keep your eye on. Now, Columbus. This is by far probably the one. I don't think that this is the understatement of the lifetime. This is probably the best offseason Columbus has ever had. Obviously, they had a lot of young talent with guys like Kent Johnson, Cole Sillinger, and like a lot of more guys that they got in this year's draft and in previous drafts. But this year, they were the winners of the Johnny Hockey sweepstakes, which I honestly was shocked that he even signed with Columbus to begin with, man, just because, like, we know he wasn't probably going back to Calgary, but essentially there were a lot of different suitors. And out of all of them, Columbus just comes out of nowhere and swoops him up. On top of that, you get Line re-signed, and you get a nice piece in Erica Branson, who's not the same, but I think is definitely going to help be a piece of the defense.
Yeah, it's not a bad offseason, but we'll have to see how it goes for them.
Yeah. And then next one I have on my list is Detroit. Obviously, it's starting to feel like now we're starting to see sort of like the fruits of labor that Steve Yzerman's putting into place. Warren Sider, Lucas Raymond, and Dylan Larkin are showing to be a really promising. A lot of younger guys are still on the way. They did get rid of Jeff Blashill and replaced him with Derek Lalonde, I believe. It's the assistant for the Lightning. They also got guys like Kopp, Ben Sherratt, Pat Maroon, and a lot of others. So I think they're definitely a team that could sneak in this year. I definitely think so.
Yeah, but as I said before, it's a really tough division. For that, and I just don't know. So I think like one team. I mean, I feel like there's really like probably 6 really good teams in the Atlantic, but one of them's gonna have to miss.
Yeah.
So
So next one I got Detroit is Montreal. Like, it's kind of clear that like after it was pretty much clear that this team's just starting over. The good news is that they've chosen to give GM Ken Hughes and head coach Martin St. Louis for another shot. They did get the first overall pick, so I think this is just another year of where they're going to start developing for the future. So
nothing will happen.
Really say on Montreal. Next one is the Islanders. Jeez, I feel like this, to think that 2 or 3 years ago, this team was competing in Game 7 for the Eastern Conference Finals. Now it's like what's happened, because Barry Trotz got fired and was replaced with Lane Lambert, and they didn't do anything in free agency. Like, they wanted Jockey Hockey, they didn't get him. They did apparently were confirmed to get Nazem Kadri, but then he pulled a 180 and then went somewhere else. So I think it's clear right now that Lou Lamoriello is on the hot seat, and we might be seeing that team get blown up.
Yeah. And Barzell's not under extension.
Oh, did they not sign Barzell?
No, he doesn't have an extension after the season.
Okay, so he's most likely going to be a free agent. So, yeah. So New Jersey, they were another one that kind of lost out. Like, they weren't exactly good this season. Like, they just kind of struggled to get anything going. And then and now essentially, like, I thought they had another good offseason. Like, they were trying to get Johnny Hockey, but instead get Andre Palat, who is probably a bit of a better upgrade, especially because he's coming from the Lightning and just is coming off a big cup run. But yeah, I'm not really sure. They're a hard team to gauge. I know they're still young, but I don't know. The good news is you don't have to worry about PK Subban. He is retired to most likely go on ESPN.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Now, Ottawa. This is one I have a lot of notes for. So obviously, this was another year where we saw the youth starting to develop and take form. However, the biggest move of this offseason might have occurred off the ice, which we're sad to announce. We were sad to learn that Eugene Melnick, the owner, had passed away at a bit of a young age. Like, I know, obviously, his daughters have our condolences, all that, like, respect for the dead. But, he was sort of one of the people who was kind of holding the team back. And, I think it's unclear, like, obviously what Pierre Dorian and DJ Smith mean for the future of the team. But this offseason, they've made a very strong case to be sticking around, because they were able to lock up Claude Giroux to pretty much come home and play. They traded for Alex DeBrincat and Cam Talbot. They also locked up Josh Norris and Tim Stützle. What's even better, which is a bit off the ice, is they may get a new arena, because they've been rumored to looking back into LeBreton Flats. So that is definitely the big thing to note with Ottawa.
Yeah, I really like Ottawa coming into the season. So
yeah,
I think they're a strong playoff team.
Yeah, I would say that. Like, I think they're still young, but I think they have potential. And now, Philadelphia. Oh my God, where do we even begin with you? As Wild fans, we tried to warn you about Chuck Fletcher, huh? You wanted Johnny Hockey, but failed miserably. You then choose to acquire Tony DeAngelo, who's probably one of the more hated men in this league, Justin Braun, who, okay, like, he's a fourth line grinder, and Nick Delorier to a 4-year extension. And this is the cherry on top. Your head coach is John Tortorella. It's beautiful. Flyer hockey, baby.
First overall pick, here they come.
Yeah, they're probably going to get the first overall pick. Let's be real. Yeah.
Hey, it's a really good draft, so.
Yeah, but yeah. All right, now Anaheim. I don't know what happened. Like, we were looking at this team going into the All-Star. They were doing very well. They had a lot of bright talents, especially in the one they call Trevor Zegras. But I think they just need the right mindset and coach going forward, which they did get, because Brian Murray's no longer essentially had to resign due to going to rehab, which prayers for that man. Hope he's doing better. I'd say one thing that was shocking, I was surprised they did not bring back Sonny Milano, or they didn't offer to cheat him, essentially. Yeah. They did get Ryan Strome, which I think is a nice piece to fill his void, but it's still, like, I feel like he would have been one of the players you want for the future. It just kind of seems a little shocking.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now we got Arizona. I'm not really going to actually talk about this season because we all know it was garbage. They lost out on the lottery to get the 3rd overall pick, sadly. So you could not get, you still got Logan Cooley who's going to come. But now you get to play in a college arena at Arizona State University. Just ignore the fact you can't put any sponsorships or stuff like that on the banners. It's mostly going to be frat boys going to those games or people or loyal people. In any ways, this is just a place for veterans to sign on their last legs and waiting for young prospects. That's pretty much what this year is for them.
Yeah, 100%.
Mm-hmm. Now, Chicago. First up, I would like to say for the record, I told you so. I told you so, Chicago. Your moves, Stan Bowman made moves that would cripple this team. So they chose to do what any sane person would do and hit the big red button to make massive changes. They did trade off Marc-Andre Fleury at the deadline last year. However, they're still stuck with Seth Jones, but they were also able to trade at the draft Kirby Dach and Alex DeBrincat. So I think this is going to be the first tank year, which honestly, like you've been hearing what Patrick Kane's been saying, who knows, like he may be the next one out the door.
Yeah, but he has a no movement clause, so he gets to choose where he goes.
Yeah, he'll probably just get flipped. He's probably going to be the main target at the deadline to like a team that's wanting to compete and can take his contract.
Yeah.
Yeah. So San Jose is the next team I have on my list. They were just another year where it was frustrating for them. It was like it's just like it's the same tired formula. However, now this might be the start of some big changes coming because Doug Wilson officially resigned as GM due to health concerns. They still have a long way to go, but this is a start. They were able to trade off Brian Burns and his contract to Carolina, but I also expect them to trade others to come soon, essentially. They are, one thing I did want to note, they're signing a lot of former Wild players because they signed Nico Sturm, Capo Kakinen, and Luke Cunnin. I'm like, okay, cool. They're the West Coast Minnesota Wild. So
yeah.
Now the Kraken, honestly, like they're at the deadline, it was kind of like, yeah, screw it. They weren't good. We're just gonna probably tank. You did get to see Matty Beniers make his debut, who shows to have promise.
And Shane Wright.
Yeah, they did. Yeah, they did. Yeah, for some reason, I don't know why, the Shane Wright fell to the 4th spot in the draft, and he is now on the Kraken. So you got that to look forward to. I think it's just kind of another year where they're trying to just kind of build an actual core.
Yeah, but they're making good progress.
Yeah, you're doing better than a lot of other teams. Let's just put it at that. All right, Vancouver. To be honest, I was actually shocked by them because we all remember the glories of Jim Benning. It was just, man, that man made so many trades that screwed them. But essentially, at one point, they were fighting for a playoff spot and did show signs of improvement because they brought in the greatest coach of all, Bruce Boudreau. But yeah, I think, you were able to get Besser back. You got a couple other nice guys. Like you got the 2 Russian players who I can't think of the names at the top of my head. So I think they definitely can, considering where the spot they're at, I think they can compete. The question is, can they get it done?
Oh, I think they can, because let me pull this up real quick.
Yeah.
I found this stat yesterday.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Let's see. Yeah, here it is. Vancouver's record under Bruce Boudreau, 32, 15, and 10.
Yeah, so that's not a bad record, essentially.
So if you keep that up,
yeah,
it should be pretty good.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So now the Vegas Golden Knights. Seriously, the first words I have on the top of this is screw this team, because they, like, it's seemingly something new with them every week. it was something new every week with this team. Obviously, we're familiar. They traded for Jack Eichel. Turns out this team just flat out missed the playoffs because they were getting injured and just there were cracks showing throughout the everywhere essentially. However, they did choose to do what I think was right, and they actually fired Peter DeBoer, and his replacement is Bruce Cassidy, who we'll get to once we get to Boston.
Okay, I was gonna say we can. Do you want me to save it for Boston?
Yeah, we'll save it for Boston because Boston. But I think that he definitely. My big thing is, can he coexist with McPhee and McCrimmon? Because those two are still there, and I feel like it showed this offseason, like they traded away Max Pacioretty to Carolina. I do agree with them extending Riley Smith. That is, you needed to do that. But it just seems like nothing's going to change with this team. These all-in posters over and over and over again. I don't know.
They just go for the shining toy on the market.
Yeah, exactly. I just don't think like there's a point. You can't essentially just be like a big market baseball team and buy everyone and expect to win a championship. You're not the Dodgers.
I heard a good point. If I presented you with a 4-year contract, same salary, but one's for the Rangers and one's for Vegas, which one are you taking?
I'm taking the Rangers. I'm taking the Rangers 100%.
And you're taking that Rangers because Vegas. No, you're taking the Rangers because you will finish that contract. Vegas, they can't guarantee that.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Oh.
So, Winnipeg, this one, I don't know what's up with them. They struggled all year. They had no cohesion. They did get rid of both their head coach and GM, which probably was a good move because they needed a new one. Yeah, or wait, I think they got rid of their head coach. My bad.
I was gonna say.
Yeah, I don't think the GM's gone. My bad. That's on me for not doing my research. For the longest time they wanted Barry Trotz, but he said like, I'm good. I want to take some time off, which yeah, it's understandable. But they're gonna have to settle with Rick Bowness, and it's like we saw them, like they stripped Blake Wheeler, I believe was their captain. They stripped him, which I don't get. Like I get that, I just don't get a lot of the moves. Like it seems like from my perspective, their main key is having Carter Hellebuck play elite, which I'm not sure he can do every night.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Speaking of gold teams playing elite, we have the Nashville coming off a 4-0 sweep by the Avs, which was honestly expected. They kind of just were like, I don't know how to feel about their offseason moves. Were kind of just meh sometimes, and I apologize for burping. Because I will admit, they did get Ryan McDonough, but he's more of his better years are behind him, and he's a cap casualty so that Tampa can extend a lot of their players. They were able to extend Philip Forsberg, which was shocking. But the only other thing I wanted to note is that Nino Niederreiter and Mikael Granlund are back together. The two boys from Minnesota who were ex-Wild players are back in business.
Yeah. Another team that takes former Wild players.
Yeah, they do. They do. Let's be real. All right. So now the main event. Minnesota. Obviously, you and I were both upset about the 4-2 loss by St. Louis, but it was honestly, looking at it now, it's like it was probably expected. So as a result of it, this being the first big year of the massive buyouts of Parise and Suter, it was bye-bye to Kevin Fiala, especially after doing nothing in the playoffs. He gets to go to his new home in LA for a first-round pick, and Minnesota Golden go for Brock Faber. Like, here's the thing. Like, I like Brock Faber. I really do. But my big issue was this. At the time, it was rumored that he had no intention of signing with LA, so you could have probably gotten him for nothing. I would have rather had one of the Wild or one of the Kings centermen. Like, I know obviously Byfield's not an option, but someone like Blake Lizotte, maybe? I don't know. No, it just feels like that was kind of like it's not a bad trade. It was just, I feel like the big missing piece of that.
Yeah.
Other than that, they mostly just kind of did the necessary moves. They did bring back Jacob Middleton. They let go of Dmitry Kulikov and Nick Bukestad. They unfortunately, they did get back Marc-Andre Fleury, which unfortunately means he is now going to. They sent Talbot got pissed. They sent him to Ottawa for Philip Gustafson. So yeah, and also there was that situation with Kaprizov, but having issues getting back in the States. But that's apparently resolved itself now, and we should be all right.
Yeah, it's gonna be a great season.
Yeah, I think they'll still be competitive.
Comes up.
What?
Maybe Wallstead comes up.
He's probably. I guarantee you, he probably gets called up in like very soon, or once the season starts going. So next up, we got Dallas, who who unfortunately came up short and lost 4-3 to Calgary. However, let's just say this: Jake Ottinger from Lakeville, that man played like a menace in the net, and he was single-handedly carrying that team to relevance, essentially, as Joe walks off camera. However, I am overshadowing that by the fact is you hired Peter DeBoer. It's not that he's a bad coach. The problem is, after his stint in Vegas, he really should be constantly he should really not be near this position right now, especially considering how he threw Robin Lehner and Marc-Andre Fleury under a bus.
I was putting my pretzels away, but I don't know if you mentioned this, but Jason Robertson is not under contract right now.
Yeah, so he's all. Yeah, that's another thing. Like, I forgot to mention that especially since like the thing is like the seat is getting very hot for both Tyler Seguin and Jamie Benn in Dallas. The supposed two leaders of that team, like so far they've had one chance at a cup, and that's it. And Lord knows that they get there this year. I think they can get the playoffs. I don't know if they can go all the way.
Well, it depends on Jason Robertson. So
yeah, if Robertson and Ottinger can carry this team. Now,
if Robertson signs a contract, I think they're a playoff team. If it goes into the season, I'm concerned.
Yeah. Now, the LA Kings, by far probably the team that's finally showing signs of improvement after years of being bad. So they did lose 4-3 to Edmonton. But however, most of their offseason moves were kind of just ones of necessity. They did get Kevin Fiala and pay him handsomely, however. That was like their only big splash.
Yeah, but honestly, LA, they were probably like, they didn't care that they lost in 7 games to the Oilers, but the fact that they just made it there and got experience is what they wanted. And yeah, they're just building.
Yeah, it's a good experience and they're building for the future. So now Washington, they unfortunately came off a 4-2 loss to Florida. And they did sign Darcy Kemper and more depth signings. But my question is this: how much more longer is Ovi here? I don't see him. I don't know what the heck.
Ovi is going to be here to try and break the goal record. I just don't think they're Stanley Cup.
Yeah, it's just like I feel like this team's the Detroit Tigers right now. You're just watching to see Miguel Cabrera get record after record, and now it's like, okay, yeah.
But at the end of the day, he won his cup, so it's not.
Yeah, at least he can say he has a cup, unlike a lot of other greats who never got a chance. So yeah. Now we go to Toronto. Unfortunately, you lost another game 7, which is an issue. However, this offseason was pretty okay. You re-signed Mark Giordano, who I think was probably you needed to do that. They did get rid of Peter Mrazek and lost Jack Campbell. In their place, it's Matt Murray and I forget the other one, Ilya Samsonov, I believe.
Yeah.
It's just like, it's like you have the talent. The big question mark is in goaltending.
Yeah. I think both goalies are looking for bounce back years.
Yeah.
So it's pretty big for them.
Now we can finally, the one you've been wanting to get to, Boston, losing game 7 to Carolina. As a result, the boys club in Boston, yes, I'm calling you guys out, they said, I wonder what the problem is with this team. I know, Bruce Cassidy, you're fired. Why did you fire that man? He was the last person to fire.
Because you're absolutely right. He is definitely one of the best coaches.
Yeah,
in the league. I would go so far that if I was a general manager and he was on the market, I would be tempted to get him as my coach. No matter
why do you think
my
Vegas
coach
picked him up? He was the best coach.
Yeah, so
you're laughing, but you know it's damn right. Right. Otherwise than that, in terms of their off season, they did nothing of huge note. No, they
brought back all the old veterans and did nothing.
Yeah. So Brad Marchand's back. Okay, cool.
He's injured.
Yeah, exactly. And unfortunately, now you have to watch. You're probably thinking, what if we go get Zdeno Chara back? Too bad he's retired. So enjoy retirement, Big Z. But yeah, I definitely think this is going to be a year where the Bruins fall off a cliff. I honestly believe.
Hey, also has a contract extension that needs to be in place.
Who?
Pasta.
Oh yeah, maybe. So I guarantee you that he's probably going to be a sought after free agent if he's on the market.
Oh,
they're probably going to want to extend that guy. Otherwise, we will see Boston riot like it's the Tea Party again.
Yeah, it's not pretty.
Yeah, Pittsburgh, you blew a 3-1 lead to the Rangers, and somehow that gave you the excuse to bring back Letang, Malkin, and a lot of other old men to try again. My question is how much longer you can do this. I think this team's cooked at this point. I know they still have Crosby, but the issue is how much longer does he have left in the team?
Are you talking about competing for a cup or making the playoffs?
Playoffs, I could see them. I think in terms of playoffs, I think at best they're one and done. Nothing else. But in terms of
possibly second round, but I think that's the peak.
Yeah. I don't see that. I think the days of them competing for the cup are over. So St. Louis. Now, I got a bone to pick with them. I know they beat us in the first round. However, you lost 4-2 to the Avs, and I have a little good message for you. Nazem Kadri did nothing wrong. So yeah. Other than that, they pretty much. I don't understand why they traded away Ville Husso. I thought he was a good backup, but I guess Bennington's the guy they really want. So
no money.
Yeah. They still did lock up the likes of Robert Thomas Greiss. I am a little curious why Nick Leddy got extended though. Like I get that he's a core piece of the defense, but it seems like there's going to be a day when his legs fall off and he's just taking up space on the ice.
Yeah.
Which I don't want to
trying to win, so.
Yeah. So, Calgary, you lost 4-1 to Edmonton in the Battle of Alberta. I think that was the loss that finally broke this team and made them overhaul the core. Johnny Hockey left Canada to go to the land of Ohio, which I don't understand that. But immediately following him leaving, we learned that Matthew Tkachuk is not very happy. So what did you decide to do? You sent him to Florida for a premium haul, essentially. So, yeah. You did get Jonathan Huberdeau, Mackenzie Weegar, Schwint, and a first. You were also able to extend Huberdeau, and Nazem Kadri is there as well. So,
okay. Somehow Calgary is still a playoff team, even though they got rid of basically everyone.
Yeah. Hey, Now, after moving on, we have Florida swept 4-0 by Tampa Bay in humiliating flat fashion. Weren't they supposed to be the team that was supposed to go all the way, getting Joe Thornton and Claude Giroux their final chance at a cup?
Yeah. And didn't happen.
Clearly. So now you pretty much are getting so desperate, you decided to say screw it and get Matthew Tkachuk. And the best part is you now don't have a first round pick until 2025. You essentially you're not the LA Rams, okay? You need first round picks.
Yes, they are.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's just hope this doesn't bite you in the butt again. Because if you go first round, expect me to roast them to the holy heavens, or even don't make the playoffs at all.
Yeah.
Now
they will.
Yeah. All right. Carolina. Game 7 loss to the Rangers. It was a rough one for them because I had them as a potential cup team. However, I think they're still going to be a good team. Like even with the big thing is that with Rod Brindamore, essentially he can work with any type of player to make it fit into his system. So this time he's gone to the well of the old men and brought Brent Burns and Max Pacioretty to be veteran leadership and experience. So I still think they're going to be a playoff team. It just depends on, can they finish the job this time?
I think they can make it to the cup this year.
Yeah, I definitely see that. Now, Edmonton. Now, here's the thing. I gotta eat my crow. They did get swept 4-0 by Colorado, but I will have to admit, they finally did not waste Leon and Connor this year. Essentially. This was the first year we got to see them compete for something that wasn't other than the golf course. However, the goal is still the same at this point. It's cup or bust. You were fortunate that you were able to lock up Evander Kane long term, and you have this new goalie in Jack Campbell who is better. It's better than the Mike Smith experience. Let's just call it that. However, it's unfortunate as Duncan Keith is retired and you lost Zach Kassian. So,
but it's amazing. They can go to the cup as well.
Here's the thing. You got to get to there. Clock's ticking. Okay. You proved you can do it once. Now you got to prove you can do it again. Hey,
by the way, remember when I brought up Bruce Boudreau's record? Do you know what Jay Woodcroft's record is, the head coach?
Do we need to mention the fact that he took over the guy who got fired midway through the season?
Do you want to know what his record is?
You know what? Entertain me. Educate me.
26-9-3.
Okay, cool. How many games has he actually head coached in his life? And so
38, but that doesn't matter. He's young. He's good. He's better.
They need to get to the cup this year. Otherwise, you are going to be you need to just get there this year, okay? Otherwise, you're in trouble.
Well, you didn't believe me last year, so.
Yeah. All right. Next up, the Rangers. By far the team that surprised everyone, which to be fair, I went on record saying I said Gerard Gallant was the best hire for the organization. Turns out I was right, as he led this team. He was able to get this team to the conference finals without having to break too much of a sweat. Essentially, Lee, it's clear now that the goal for them is just continuing to build and for the future of this team. They did lock up Vinny Trocheck long term, and they traded for Alex Georgiev. So I'd say that they have a lot of good things swinging their way. So I could definitely see them competing this year once again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can see that as well.
Yes. Now we have Tampa Bay. The streak is over, boys. unfortunate, but very few teams can three-peat in this modern era. So as a result, we had to say goodbye to some names. That is in one Ryan McDonough, who was a part of both cup wins. He is now going to Nashville in a salary dump. But it's not all bad. You were able to re-sign Nick Paul. You did get Nick lock up your long core and Cirelli. Nah, I forget. It's something. It's the I don't like Chernak and a lot of other guys. So here's the thing: you weren't able to three-peat, but you're still going to be competing. So just be happy with that. That's better than what a lot of teams can say.
So. Yeah, but I don't know how much longer they're going to be competing. That's the thing.
Yeah, that's true.
They're getting like Stamkos and Edman and Kucherov. I mean, they're getting old.
Yeah.
So
it might be time to figure out when it's time to end it. So
yeah.
Next, it is the cup-winning champion Colorado Avalanche. Oh boy! First off, credit to the champs. Okay, yeah, all right. But however, there is one thing that comes with winning a cup, and that is the cup tax. They were able to get extensions for guys like Cogliano and a lot of other contributors. However, the big one is Nichushkin. Back up the Brinks truck because that man got freaking paid. Big bucks. And then you unfortunately had to replace Darcy Kemper with Alex Georgiev, which it's unfortunate, but hey, it is what it is. So, All right, now we finally got all the teams done with my nasally voice. So now we can get on to this season and our predictions. So starting with the Metro Division, I think for me, it is it's essentially my three teams are Carolina, New York, the Carolina Hurricanes, the New York Rangers. It's a bit tough, but I actually think Columbus and Washington sneaks in, and then Columbus as the final seed in that.
Okay.
Yeah.
I would go Carolina first, Pittsburgh second, and then New York Rangers third.
All right. Yeah. And for the Atlantic, for me, the top, it's kind of a little more easy. I think Florida takes that number one seed. Toronto, Tampa Bay, and a bit of the one that everyone's been high on. I think Detroit could make it in. However, I could also see that being either Ottawa or even the off chance if Buffalo can get hot right out the season, they could slip in, essentially.
Yeah, I pretty much have the same except flip Toronto and Florida.
Yeah.
And I hope Ottawa can get in.
Yeah. Central, it's pretty cut and dry. I see Colorado as the top dog still in the chase. I see St. Louis as the 2, Minnesota is at 3, Dallas at 4, because I feel like when it comes down to that final spot, it's like, okay, what team has the team, all 4, a lot of the teams like Winnipeg and Nashville, they have the goaltending. The question is who's got the talent to do something. And I think that's Dallas. So,
yeah, I think it will be St. Louis, Minnesota, Colorado, and then actually, no, I take it back. St. Louis, Colorado, Minnesota, and then I think it will be Nashville and Dallas.
Yeah, that's a fair take. And now the Pacific. I think top seed goes to Edmonton because I don't see anyone else as really being good in that division. Number 2 seed, I have the Kings. 3 seed is Vancouver. 4 seed, I know they just overhauled the core, but I think Calgary could slip in. And however, off chance, Vegas could swap with them.
Yeah, Oilers by a million. Then I would say Vancouver and then LA.
Yeah. All right. So we will see once the season begins. So with that, I've been your host, Charlie Brown. That has been my brother Joe. And we will see you all next time.